Well, hey there, folks. Welcome to Advisory. I hope you are all doing well. Welcome back to your B-Day advisory class. Pretty cool because of the block scheduling, you get not just one advisor every week, but two. I encourage you to look to both of these teachers on your A-Day and your B-Day for the support that you need in advisory. Today, we're going to continue How to Be a Longhorn. Thank you. You're too kind. Thank you. And today we'll be talking about two codes, the dress code and our student code of conduct that we adhere to in DISD. Remember that all of the information that we go over during these How to Be a Longhorn sessions can be found in better detail on our Campus Culture Handbook, which you can get to by going to Longhorn Country and clicking the button that says Campus Culture Handbook. It's at the very top. And if you scroll down, the first thing that you see is our dress code, and it's all very clearly laid out in great detail. We're not going to go over all that detail today in the video, but I would encourage you to look at the details on this chart, especially as you choose your fits for the day when coming to school. But let's go over the broad strokes. First of all, why do we need a dress code? Our dress code is there to promote students' understanding of expectations of dressing in a professional environment. The code teaches grooming and hygiene, prevents disruption, minimizes safety hazard, and maintains a positive learning climate. Every school in the world has a dress code of some sort. Most other jobs that you will have in your life will have something of a dress code or a uniform. What I like about our dress code at WT White is that it's not too strict. You have the ability to express yourself through how you dress. But there are certain things that we have to keep in mind when choosing how to present ourselves through what we wear. Here's the big picture. Clothes must be worn in such a way that your abdomen, genitals, buttocks, undergarments, and chest are completely covered. Ew, Mr. Hall, you said genitals? That might be too spicy for YouTube. I don't know if I'll get demonetized. But as gross as it is to hear me say that word, it's even grosser to have any of that stuff showing in a professional environment like school. So make sure you are covered up in those areas. Students also may not have tattoos or clothing that promote the use of drugs, alcohol, tobacco, or sex, or that promote hate, violence, or gang-related activity. So especially if you have a shirt that maybe says like the name of a beer on it or a type of drug or tobacco, you're not to wear those things in a professional environment either. And any discrepancies with the dress code, as in any questions about what the dress code says, may be subject to administrative discretion. So if a principal sees what you're wearing and it technically doesn't go against any of the rules, but they still deem it to be something that interrupts a positive learning environment, then they may ask you to change. A dress code violation is a level 1 violation, and we'll go over what that means here in a moment. But if there's a violation that needs to be addressed, the student is given an opportunity to correct the issue by changing into something else or fixing their clothes in a different way. A student may be asked to wear replacement clothes provided by the nurse or the office clerk, and repeated offenses may result in more serious discipline. And really, it is less about trying to get around the rules with what you wear. Instead of just a series of rules, we want you to think about this dress code as a learning opportunity for you to figure out how to dress well for yourself and send a positive message out with what you wear. Let's talk now about the Dallas ISD Student Code of Conduct. You can find the full DISD Student Code of Conduct if you either Google it or you can click directly to it by finding this button on Longhorn Country. The first page of it looks like this right here. And it's very, very long and very, very detailed. So we're not going to go over every little bit, but we are going to go over the basics as well as a couple of changes that they have made this year. The word conduct in the Student Code of Conduct means the way that you behave, how you conduct yourself. And before we get to talking about negative behavior and its consequences, let's go over the positive conduct that is expected of DISD students. Here are Dallas ISD's 5 standards of student conduct. Students should exercise self-control. That means taking charge of your own decisions and thinking carefully before you say or do things. Students should demonstrate a positive attitude. That doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be happy or joyful all the time. Sometimes we're going to be sad or angry or upset, but generally speaking, should have a positive attitude about coming to school, seeing our friends, learning, and all the other good things that school has to offer. Students are expected to respect the rights and feelings of others. We're not just thinking about ourselves, we're thinking about how we act towards other people around us. Students should take responsibility for school property. That includes everything in the building and the building itself. This is your school. And so it's important that you treat the materials and the devices and the property of your school with the same respect that you would your own property. And then in general, students should act in a way that supports the learning process. We should be kind to staff members, teachers, and our fellow students. We should do everything we can to maintain a positive environment so that everybody can learn. This is how to do things correctly. There may be specific rules and guidelines for different classes or different teachers, but generally speaking, these 5 things are what you should aspire to as a student in DISD. Now let's talk about what happens when the student code of conduct is violated. There are 4 levels of offenses. You might hear a principal or another teacher say things like a level 1 offense or a level 2 offense. There are 4 levels of offenses according to the Code of Conduct. We're going to talk in depth about the first 2 levels. Level 1 offenses are violations of classroom rules. These are offenses that occur in the classroom and usually can be corrected by a teacher or administrator. Examples of level 1 offenses are things like cheating, dress code violations, which we talked about, classroom disruptions, safety rule violations, insubordination, which essentially just means not listening to a staff member when they ask you to do something. With these types of offenses, it usually comes down to just a conversation between you and the teacher or you and an administrator. In some cases, especially if it's a repeated level 1 offense, then it might be escalated to something else. But generally speaking, these are the low-level violations that can pretty easily be corrected. Then there are level 2 offenses. These offenses usually end up with a referral to the Reset Center and possibly removal to DAEP, the alternative school for Dallas ISD. These are offenses that seriously disrupt the educational process in the school, classroom, on school property, and or at a school-related activity. So these are more serious disruptions. Examples of this are things like using a personal device on school property on the school day. That's our new phone policy that we talked about the other day. And violating that because it is a state law is an example of a level 2 offense. That is the main thing that is new this year. Other examples are things like bullying or harassment, stealing, fighting, possession of forbidden items or substances. And new this year, they are adding skipping classes. Instead of just a level 1 offense, it is a level 2 offense. And so skipping classes, if you're found to be skipping classes, you're on campus and you're walking around, but you're not in your class, that could possibly result in going to DAEP as well. So it's important to know that the phone policy and skipping classes are added to this list this year of level 2 offenses that could possibly end up in further consequences like DAEP. There are 2 other levels of offenses, but I just don't see a point in talking about them because once you're at this level, you are already talking to possibly even police officers. I'll let you look at the level 3 and level 4 offenses on your own time in the Student Code of Conduct. You can find examples there, but essentially they are crimes. Usually a level 3 and level 4 offense ends up with not only school discipline, but some sort of legal discipline as well. So we're not even going to waste our time talking about them. Really, what we need to worry about are those level 1 and level 2 offenses. And that's all I have on those matters today. Make sure you understand the dress code as well as the Student Code of Conduct. You have a few discussion questions to answer as a class before you go on to today's activity, which is a series of icebreaker questions so that you can continue to get to know each other better. We'll have more How to Be a Longhorn tomorrow. Until then, be good to yourself and others, and I'll see you real soon.